الله أكبر الله أكبر
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to the series of Friday sermon discussions brought to you by Majlis Quran MKA UK Tarbiyyat Department on the Blessed Friday sermons delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen Eda Talab bin Nasir Aziz. I'm delighted to be joined by Mohtamim Tarbiyyat Majlis Quran MKA UK Atikur Rahman Sahib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Atiq sir.
Assalamu Qasim, how you doing? You okay?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. It's been a while. Hopefully, inshallah, it'll be a good one today.
Inshallah. How is Ramadan treating you before we crack into the Friday sermon discussion?
It's been good. I think a lot of learnings. We've been doing quite a lot of content actually in terms of kind of how we can do some practical things and practical steps we can take during Ramadan. So, yeah, I've learned a lot from that as well.
Perfect. It's a very spiritual time. And
Yep.
leading on to that, one of the spiritual highlights of the week for an Ahmadi Muslim is the Friday sermon delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen. Please, can you give us a summary of the most recent one?
Yeah, sure. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So the Friday sermon has all continued on the rightly guided caliphs, and it was about Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu this week, and I think it was really kind of pertinent one because I think it actually links into the situation that we are going through today. So I'll give a quick short summary and then I'll kind of expand on some of the points. So as we kind of talked about the challenges that Hazrat Abu Bakr, and challenge probably not even the right word because it was probably more intense than a challenge that Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu faced during his time, especially when he became Khalifa. So during that time there was a lot of apostates, so people who had left the religion, Muslims who had decided Islam wasn't for them and they'd kind of gone against the grain, and that's fine. I think we've had discussions on this before where people always question, can you leave a religion and should they be banished and whatnot? But there's no compulsion in religion, as we're taught. But the problem is that what they then got themselves into was absolute kind of cruelty. They were causing havoc in Arabia. They were causing kind of mischief, and there was murders happening, and this was all against the Muslims. So there was a huge rebellion that was taking place during the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu, and it was a very tough time. But Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu stayed very resolute, very brave, and he kind of made sure that he remained close to God. And I think it shows the immense power and kind of compassion of this individual that even during this time, he was actually praying for these individuals. You can imagine, like, we go through life and if someone abuses us or if someone murders kind of someone that we know or whatnot, we'd find it very hard to potentially kind of forgive them or even kind of pray for them. We'd have this animosity or anger built up inside of us. But Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu was actually weeping for them during namaz and praying for them, that they come back to God and God guides them on the right path. And any normal man, in all honesty, would have crumbled. But with the help of God, Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu managed to kind of get through this time. It was a very fragile time, and I think the interesting thing is actually kind of relates back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, where there was a lot of kind of disarray. People didn't know what's going on. Even Muslims were kind of a bit worried about which way we can go, which way we could turn. There was a lot of Muslims leaving the religion as well. A lot of apostates. But Hazrat Abu Bakr Radiallahu anhu managed to kind of get them out of the darkness, and with the help of God, and he managed to get them to a level where there was almost a governmental system that was put in place because of the intelligence of the system that Hazrat Abu Bakr has put in place. And this system was basically built around creating kind of 11 battalions and spreading them all over Arabia. And the kind of genius side of this was actually they were all in touch with each other. So there was all communication occurring between all the 11 battalions. And by battalions, I mean basically kind of army generals. And they all had kind of an army underneath them. So they all went all over Arabia to kind of basically sort the situation out. There was a huge amount of heinous crimes being occurred by the apostates against Muslims, murders, amongst other things. So something had to be done. It wasn't a case where we just need to sit back and let's just leave it in God's hands and see what happens. So Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu created this amazing, beautiful system, and it worked really well. And it kind of helped to bring back the society and Arabia. And the interesting thing is that when Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu sent these 11 battalion leaders to these various places, he sent them with a very clear message. It wasn't to go and fight. It wasn't to go and get involved and try to cause havoc yourselves or whatnot and start a battle. It was actually to deliver a message. So Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had actually written a letter to all of Arabia, and this letter was literally just saying, turn back towards God. Come back to your creator, understand your roles and responsibilities. And he had instructed all the 11 leaders to distribute these letters all around Arabia. It then again goes to show, people say, oh, Islam was spread by the sword and whatnot. It shows that even during this time when these heinous crimes were being created, the first thing that was instructed to these 11 battalions was make sure that you go there and you are respectful, you are conscious of the situation, and you don't go there to fight, you go there to spread the message first. That was their number one kind of instruction. If, however, the message is not adhered to and people are still causing havoc and killing people, killing Muslims, then you need to start to maybe, put together a system in place where there is some sort of law and order being created. So again, it shows the beauty and the power of Islam, and also Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu in terms of the examples that he had taken from Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that it was all about kind of first of all peace, giving people an opportunity, giving people a chance, getting a message across. And I think the most interesting thing about this Friday sermon for me personally was, number one, it shows that it's cyclical. These situations will always keep occurring. We're always going to face challenges as Muslims. Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was facing a challenge at that specific time, which was on another scale. But then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced the same challenge. He came at a time when Islam was again in disarray. Muslims didn't know what was going on. We were being challenged left, right, and center by the other religions. Nobody was standing up. Nobody could actually, come to the support of Islam. But the Prophet ﷺ was there. He pulled us out of the darkness and got us back to where Islam should have been by, fighting the battles with all of, the books that he wrote, the debates that he had, the education that he gave the Muslims back by showing them the light and what they had potentially lost. And if you now fast forward to today, we're pretty much in a similar situation. You know, Society has gone away from God. Society has completely, kind of negated religion in a sense, and we're almost in disarray. And it shows that we're so blessed to have a Khalifa that we are still one. We are still in the light. And Huzoor has said this, on countless occasions that justice has to be served. And if it doesn't, then we're going to see what we're seeing today with the war at the moment in Ukraine. But also, we are fighting a jihad right now, which is slightly different to the one Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu fought, where it's the jihad of the pen. And even though at that time Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did the same thing, he kind of fought the battle with the pen by writing the letter. Huzoor has done that as well. He has written to all of the world leaders and told them to basically, start treating your people with justice, start looking at your own country, start living, a proper life. The challenge we face at the moment is God has gone from a lot of these people's lives, so therefore there's no consequence for them. They see themselves as the leader, as the number one, as the big man, as I want more power, power, power. And that's why in their heads they don't see that, okay, what I'm doing is wrong because I may potentially be punished. And I think this Friday sermon is so powerful because it really kind of shows us that actually these challenges that we're facing today were faced, 100 years ago. They were faced by Prophet Sallallahu, they were faced by Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, but Islam always prevailed. So we need to make sure that we stay strong, we stay close to Khilafat because we are blessed to have it. We make sure that we remain, steadfast in our prayers, and we continuously keep turning to God, because once you lose God, you've seen the many examples that Azur has given of these individuals that have gone astray.
Jazakallah Tiksab, and you put a definite world nowadays context to that Friday sermon in terms of the incidents that you gave. And I'm just going to hone in on one point, but also hone in on an individual level. We're obviously going through the month of Ramadan at the same time as well. And we see, like you said, that these events are cyclical. And human nature as a society, it seems to be very similar in terms of what was happening 1400 years ago. To some extent, it was also happening 100 and is also happening now. But on an individual level, as a khadim or just as a human being, what is it that we can take from this Friday sermon and the incidents of the past that we should be doing to try and better ourselves and in some way then better our society?
It's the lessons. Recently there was the app that was launched by Huzoor, which was the Companion 313, and Huzoor's continued to give the Friday sermons on the rightly guided caliphs. And the reason why Huzoor was giving these sermons is because there are examples for us to take from these special human beings. How did they live their lives? What did they do? And yes, look, we're not facing a battle, so you can't kind of necessarily take it literally. We're not facing a physical war. But Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu made sure that he stayed close to God. He managed to overcome, unimaginable challenges that we struggle today. Social media, mental health, all this sort of stuff that we're going through. But Hazrat Abu Bakr was physically facing challenges where people of his own community were being murdered on a regular basis. There were battles being thrown. But how did he overcome that? With prayers, with God, you know, with the support of God. And the same from Messiah Islam. Again, the things that we need to understand and take is Prophet Islam wrote a countless number of books, and they weren't just written for the sake of writing them, they were written for us to learn from them. We need solutions for the challenges that we face today. But these solutions have been given to us over 100 years ago, over 1400 years ago. They're given to us in the Holy Quran. They're given to us in our prayers. So as a khadim, we can sit there all day long. And what sometimes surprises me, you see all these khaddam who are following all these kind of world leaders, right? Or these people that are talking about leadership and what makes a good leader and whatnot, and they start sending and sharing all this stuff on WhatsApp. Steve Bartlett and all these type of things. And yeah, look, from a worldly perspective, yeah, they've done really well and fair play to them, and they've got some good stuff. But in reality, we've had this for years. We've had the solutions. Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the rightly guided caliphs, our Khilafat today, Prophet Sallallahu, all these special individuals have given us the examples that we need today to succeed. Our job is just to recognize it, find it, interpret it, and then implement it in our lives. And then we'll start to see, our life get to a point where, I think everyone wants to be, which is at peace, really.
Jazakallah Atiq Saab, very well put there and succinct summary of the Friday sermon. Jazakallah to you for your time. As regular viewers of this program will know, we end with an extract from the Friday sermon delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen. So let's watch that now.
गुज़श्ता खुतबे से पहले जो खुतबा हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु के वाक़यात के बारे में दिया जा रहा था, उसमें मुख्तलिफ़ हवाले बयान किए गए थे जिनसे साबित होता है कि मुर्तदीन को हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ ने सज़ा उनके इर्तिदाद की वजह से नहीं दी थी, बल्कि बगावत और जंग की वजह से उनका जवाब दिया गया था। इस बारे में ज़माने के हकम अदल हज़रत अक़दस मसीह मौऊद अलैहिस्सलाम ने भी हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ के अहद खिलाफत में इस इर्तिदाद को सरकशी और बगावत से तबीर किया है। चुनांचे इसका जिक्र करते हुए हज़रत अबू बकर की जुर्रत और दिलेरी कितनी थी, आप फरमाते हैं कि अहले तहकीक से ये अमर मख्फी नहीं है कि आपकी खिलाफत का वक्त खौफ और मसाइब का वक्त था। चुनांचे जब रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने वफ़ात पाई तो इस्लाम और मुसलमानों पर मसाइब टूट पड़े। बहुत से मुनाफिक मुर्तद हो गए और मुर्तदों की ज़ुबानें दराज हो गईं और इफ्तिरा पर्दाजियों के एक गिरोह ने दावा नबूवत कर दिया और अक्सर बादिया नशीन उनके गिरद जमा हो गए, यहाँ तक कि मुसलमा कज़ाब के साथ 1 लाख के करीब जाहिल और बदकिरदार आदमी मिल गए। اور فتنے بھڑک اٹھے اور مصائب بڑھ گئے اور آفات نے دور و نزدیک کا احاطہ کر لیا اور مومنوں پر ایک شدید زلزلہ طاری ہو گیا۔ اس وقت تمام لوگ آزمائے گئے اور خوفناک اور حواس باختہ کرنے والے حالات نمودار ہو گئے، اور مومن ایسے لاچار تھے کہ گویا ان کے دلوں میں آگ کے انگارے دہکائے گئے ہوں یا وہ چھری سے ذبح کر دیے گئے ہوں۔ کبھی تو خیر البریہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم کی جدائی کی وجہ سے، اور گاہے ان فتنوں کے باعث جو جلا کر بھسم کر دینے والی آگ کی صورت میں ظاہر ہوئے تھے، روتے۔ امن کا شائبہ تک نہ تھا، فتنہ پرداز گند کے ڈھیر پر اگے ہوئے سبزے کی طرح چھا گئے تھے۔ مومنوں کا خوف اور ان کی گھبراہٹ بہت بڑھ گئی تھی اور دل دہشت اور بے چینی سے لبریز تھے۔ ایسے وقت میں حضرت ابوبکر رضی اللہ عنہ حاکم وقت اور حضرت خاتم النبیین کے خلیفہ بنائے گئے۔ منافقوں، کافروں اور مرتدوں کے جن رویوں اور طور طریقوں کا آپ نے مشاہدہ کیا، ان سے آپ ہم و غم میں ڈوب گئے۔ آپ اس طرح روتے جیسے ساون کی جھڑی لگی ہو، اور آپ کے آنسو چشمہ رواں کی طرح بہنے لگتے، اور آپ رضی اللہ عنہ اپنے اللہ سے اسلام اور مسلمانوں کی خیر کی دعا مانگتے